So, my room in Florida, I lived in for the first 7 years of my life. So, from 1998, when I was born, to 2005, when I turned 7. I don't remember very clear details about this room, just because I was so young, but I do remember the general layout that it had. The very first thing that I can call to mind was that it was yellow, and actually had some white sponge painted texture on top of the wall. I don't as much remember what the white paint looked like, but I remember my mom telling me about her memory of sponge painting my walls when she was pregnant with me. My next biggest memory about this room was that the bed was in the corner, and it was built like a white picket fence. Unlike any other bed that I've ever seen, really. It was custom made, I think, and it looked like a white picket fence, and it had a matching side table that was a picket fence that also had bird houses along the bottom. On the side table, I really don't remember any details about what would have been on that table, but I would assume that there was a lamp and maybe a clock or something. I know that next to the side table was my closet with 2 French doors that opened up into the closet. Or maybe it was a single door, but I don't really remember exactly. I do remember that the closet was small, and I had a bucket of stuffed animals in there, and I used to crawl inside of the bucket with my stuffed animals deep in the corner and hide from things. My other very clear memory about this room was having a carousel horse in the room that my grandfather built for me. He took up wood carving as a hobby in his retirement or later years of his professional life, and he built me a carousel horse that was life-size, custom made for me. You could sit on it, ride it if you wanted to, and I don't really remember very many details about it. It is still in my parents' house. I've seen it recently, and all I remember is that it was named Soul, which is my middle name, and that it was beautiful, and I felt like a really cool, special girl because I had a carousel horse in my room. And I remember that the carousel horse was right in front of a window on the wall opposite of the bed, so it was in the diagonal corner from the bed. And that next to the horse, to the left of it on that same wall, there was a small dresser with a bookcase hutch on top of it. I'm sure it had books on it. I don't really know what else was on it. It's hard for me to recall. I think I remember there being a little snow globe, and there being little rose quartz bookends for my books, and I'm sure there was a picture frame with me and friends or family smiling in it. I had a little piggy bank that my grandfather also carved for me, and it was brown wood, dark brown stained wood, and it was just carved in the shape of a little pig, and it had my name, Gabby, written on the side of it. And then I had this other little piggy bank that looked like a tent or something. It was just silver, almost looked like a carousel tent, yeah, or circus tent, something like that. I also remember there being these plates on the wall that hung from a ribbon, or maybe they didn't hang from a ribbon. Maybe they were supported with little plate holder things. They were one of those things that you kind of get every year for your birthday from some family member who decides that strange valuable plates are what they should give you. So they should give a 4-year-old for their birthday, but yeah, I don't know. I had these plates and they all hung in a row. I remember there were 3 of them. I hung right above my hamper. And I don't really remember what was on these plates, but I do remember that on one of them there was a picture. I think it must have been a little girl sitting at a table in a garden that had a tablecloth over it. But when I laid down to sleep on my bed, which was across from the plates so I could see them when I laid down, from the side it looked like an evil cow, and it just really scared me, so I'll do a little doodle of what I used to see in my childhood nightmares from that plate. Other than these things, I don't really have many other clear memories of this room. I remember my door, you could see right across from the bed in the other empty corner. And next to the door there was a big dresser that had a big mirror that sat on top of it. And there was a little frame, teeny tiny frame above my light switch that had, I don't even really know what it says. It says like, God bless Gabriella Macias, something like that, some blessing from when I was born, and it's just this really, really tiny little frame, basically the size of a light switch, and it's hung above every light switch I've ever had. It's just my light switch frame. I don't know. It's just always been there, you know, those things that I'm not really sure why they've always been there, but they have. On the other wall, which the bed went up against because it was pushed in the corner, there's only one other thing I remember being there, and that was a little pink plushy chair that my Nana made for me. My Nana and my grandpa made me lots of great things in my childhood. Oh, I almost forgot my bedding on my bed. It was like a plaid, not a plaid, like a quilted pink and green, I think. Honestly, I don't recall that distinctly, but I know that it was all stitched together, and I think there were flowers on it, but I couldn't say. I really could not say specifically what the bedding was like. But that's pretty much what I remember from that room. Yeah. Okay, so after I left Florida in 2005, I moved to Connecticut, in the northeastern United States, and I decided that, this was first chance to really design my own room, so I got to pick the color, and I picked lime green, like a bright green. Oh yes, so I remember like being in the paint store and my mom telling me like the colors, they always look brighter on the wall than they do in the little color swatch. Like when it's just one small little piece, it doesn't seem like that much, but when it's the whole room, it's quite the commitment. And I just didn't pay attention. And I picked the color I wanted, and it was quite the green room. I remember right when you walked into the room, the door was on the right side in the corner. And when you walked in, you could see the bed right away, and I had the same bedroom furniture as I did when I lived in Florida, and that was the picket fence bed again, and the quilted bedding, and the side tables that had little bird houses and picket fences as well. I remember a little bit more about what was on the side tables now, because I know that I had a little boom box that was on the bottom of the side table, and I'm pretty sure there were some CDs that hung out around the side table too, so I could play them in my little stereo. And I know that I got my first iPod Shuffle when I lived there, and I had a little iHome that it went with too. I actually had for a really long time that iHome. It was white and it had a little pink like speaker pad on it, and I had a little lamp too. I still don't really remember what these lamps looked like, so I guess it'll just be a generic lamp, but I guess that's fine. I also remember there was a window on either side of my bed, and they were right above those side tables on either side. And then to the right side of my bed, I guess if you were laying in the bed to your right, there was my carousel horse again, making another appearance in a room. And a new addition to my room would be my desk. So my desk lived next to the carousel horse in that room, and I just got it. It was a big deal when I moved to Connecticut that I got to have a desk, because it meant that I was like a grown-up, I guess. I had serious things to study. I needed a desk to do it at. I'm pretty sure I didn't really do a lot of homework. I do remember getting in trouble one day and being sent to eat dinner in my room, sitting there eating like chicken nuggets at my desk. I actually think that day I got in trouble because I found out I was moving again, which will be the next term after this, when I moved to Canada 3 years after moving to Connecticut. And my parents told us we were moving, but we, I guess, weren't supposed to tell anyone yet. And I told my best friend at school, and things were getting around, and people started finding out. And of course, I didn't understand at the time, because I was only 9 years old, that there are some legal things that go on when you're moving, and, you know, you can get in trouble with your company if you talk about it too soon. And I didn't know that. So I got in trouble because my parents found out I was telling people, and I had to eat dinner at this desk. I think that was probably the most serious thing that ever happened there. But next to the desk there was a more hangout area where I had a little green butterfly chair, which I'm pretty sure I got at Claire's. I could be wrong about that, but I have a pretty strong memory of getting that at Claire's. Or like Limited 2 or something, one of those funny stores. And I remember there was this like little ornate pink chandelier that hung above it. And I think we got it at Target. Yeah, we got it at Target, I remember, and it was super ornate, and I just thought it was the fanciest thing, and it was so cute, but it just hung from the ceiling and plugged into the wall beneath it. Yeah, I mean, other than that, I still had my dresser, which remained the same from Florida, a big dresser with a big mirror on top of it. And I'm pretty sure that there was a picture hanging on the wall next to that dresser. I can't for the life of me really remember what was in it. I feel like it was a painting of Mother Goose. I don't know what to put in that frame, but I know that my little light switch frame was still there above my light switch next to my door, and that there was a little purple cross that had made its way to my door that hung up there. And then I had my closet doors. There were 2 French doors on a wall next to the dresser, and in between, so there was the closet doors, and then on the other end of that wall there was the bathroom door, and in between those doors there was the dresser again with the hutch with bookshelves and the same little bits and bobs that made up the bookshelf hutch. And yeah, those are my significant memories from that room and the things that lived inside of it. So my next room I moved into in 2008. I moved to Canada, Newmarket, Canada. Well, I guess technically Stouffville, but it's ingrained in me to say that I lived in Newmarket. And it was a pretty big deal because I chose my room color again. I had a lot more autonomy over what I wanted my room to look like now. I was older, I felt like I had a sense of identity. So I went with blue, naturally, just the brightest blue I could imagine. My room looked like a giant swimming pool. It was maybe not the best choice, but I thought it was pretty great at the time. And yeah, so at this point I was starting to accessorize a lot more. So the door to my room, it had like a little string thing that I made at camp. It was like a fishing wire that had all these little what are they called? Oh, clothespins that I had painted like weird colors and patterns and like hung pictures of me with my friends and whatnot, just like chilling on my door, you know, very DIY. And I still had that purple cross hanging over the door. Of course, my little frame over the light switches, and I had my core furniture, you know, my desk returned. I really had to get serious about schoolwork now. I was going into an older grade, actually doing stuff, so I had my desk next to my bed. I had my little boombox on it, which had been upgraded, pretty much looked the same, just like a little boombox, and now I had a little iPod port so I could play my music. And yeah, I got a new bed. It was really exciting. I got an IKEA bed. It was a big silver one. Had all these rods and it was really pretty. I remember it was so tall. Everybody would always ask me how I made it onto my bed, like how I climbed up there. And the truth is, I jumped. I would run and throw myself onto the bed. But, I mean, I thought it was fun. And I was also really, like, bendy, flexible kid because I was a dancer, so there was no problem for me to, like, hurl myself onto the bed in weird ways. Because I was only, I mean, at the time when I got the bed, I was probably only 4 feet, maybe taller. But I was a small kid, so I was very tall. And I got a really cool bedspread. I remember it was from PB Teen, Pottery Barn Teen, and I just remember feeling so cool because I was old enough to order something from PB Teen, you know, as a teenager. I was 10, I was so mature. Anyways, it was brown and it had all these neon colored dots on it. It was really pretty, actually. I think it was like a corduroy material, and it had like blue and green and pink dots all over it. It was really pretty, and little like throw pillows and stuff. And I remember, like, I still had my big wooden dresser with my big mirror on it that was on the wall with my door. But I kind of convinced my mom to get me another thing that I felt like reflected my personality more. So this little gray dresser from HomeSense. I remember, it wasn't a dresser, it was a side table. It was next to my bed. And it had mirrors all over it. So it was like this gray mirrored thing and like very modern, classy looking. And I just like remember feeling so cool with it. I loved it. And I had next to that on the other wall, my carousel horse came back. It was still hanging out with me. Soul, the OG, she made it to this room too. And then I had my little wooden dresser, but I removed the hutch from it. Now I didn't want that bookshelf anymore because I had some built-in bookshelves in another area of the room that kind of branched off of this area. It's actually right next to the big dresser with the mirror. It was just a walkway that went to like a bathroom and closet area, and it had a bunch of bookshelves in it built into the wall. You can't really see it from this room because I had all these beads hanging in the doorway to like block it off because there's just a walkway. So I had all these like crazy colored beads hanging there. I'm pretty sure I got those from Claire's too. And of course my butterfly chair from Claire's was still there, and I had my little pink chandelier too. It was on the wall between the windows, and so it was like my little reading area. I would sit there beneath the windows and chill in my green chair. I remember this chair was so easy to fall off of. It was like not well made at all, and it was very easy to like lose your balance on it and tip over, but it was fun. And at this point, like I said, I just wanted to accessorize more and like have pictures of me and my friends. And you know, life is very much about, you're very self-centered at this time. So I remember I had a little bulletin board above the wooden dresser, and it had all sorts of pictures and weird paraphernalia. I can't even remember anything specifically anymore, but yeah, I loved that room. I loved it for a really long time until I, grew out of it, I guess. Decided I need to be more mature. So this is the last and final room to recall from my childhood. And it's the same room in the same house as the last one, but we redecorated it in 2013. And it was a really fun story. So basically I decided that I was over my other room. It was like too childish. It wasn't like fancy enough. So told my mom that I was wanting to redecorate it, and she went to the paint store with me. We like picked out this really pretty dusty purple color. I really liked it, and we basically just decided that like we would paint it and whatnot. And that summer I went to study abroad for a month in Mexico, and when I came back, my mom had actually surprised me by redecorating my whole room, and it was so fun. I remember just being so excited, and it felt like I moved into a new house. I didn't even feel like my room, but just in such a fun way. Like, it was the coolest thing. And it was just like the most perfect room. Like, she got me a matching mirrored dresser to go with the mirrored side table that I had before, and it was all just so cool. I had the same bed as before, but it had big, like, fluffy white duvet on it. It had this really cool mirrored artwork that went over the top of it, and I don't even know how to describe that. It was just hanging on the wall with this big mirrored carved thing. And I had like a really cute little side table on the other side with a little lamp and some flowers on it. And I remember I had a fan on it because I just get so hot when I sleep, and I always have to have a fan pointing on me if I'm sleeping, so I had this little fan. And the wall with the mirror dresser on it, it had the two windows that looked outside, and I remember there was a little record player that I got that sat on top of the dresser, and above that, on the wall just above the windows, we had my initials, GSM, in really big like metal letters, and it was just really cool, and I felt like such a grown-up in this room when I was 15. Like, it was just a lot of fun. And it had, I always forget this, I had the coolest wallpaper behind, just like an accent wall behind my bed, and it was just like really scrolly, curly things in the wallpaper, and it was really pretty, like purple tone-on-tone wallpaper. And I had a big bench that matched the color of the walls, kind of like dark purple. It sat at the end of my bed. I had my little iHome next to my bed, which I told you I had it forever. It just made its way around next to my bed, and a little lamp on my side table. It was like made out of these geometric crystals all stacked on top of each other. And of course my desk for very important business matters. And that was in between my walkway and my door, with my little boombox on it as usual, and my big bulletin board above it, so I could put up all my pictures of me and my friends, like at prom and stuff, semi-formal dances, I remember. And the little cross above my door has always made an appearance somewhere. And then my little light switch frame, I don't know what to call it, it's just this little teeny tiny frame. It's always over my light switch. And then a big full-length mirror on the other wall. That was the only thing on that side. It was kind of an awkward wall to put things on, and this room had no carousel horse. It was like a mature room. But definitely a room that I remember the clearest. It was the most recent, and kind of makes me smile the most because it was just such like a fun room, such a fun